I get both sides of things. I get where you kind of say that's not a major milestone for this one because they've already done it. But I also get it's like, well, why not? Wouldn't you want to just test that if it survives your entry anyway? Why wouldn't you want that in the flight profile? I don't know. I'm on both sides of that coin personally. Um, yeah. From Everyday Space Nerd in our Discord asking, do I think the chopsticks will get sheared off the tower on the first catch attempt? I don't think so, honestly. I think my biggest, I have two, my biggest concern with the chopsticks is that they have to be able to be, they have to be able to demonstrate movement after launch. So don't forget, launch is a pretty dramatic and high energy event, especially when it's the world's most powerful rocket. As we know, Starship is over twice as powerful as the Saturn V. Surprisingly, uh, the launch pad does seem to be coming out pretty good after launch. How are those chopsticks going to survive launch? And then what will they look like, immediately after launch? Will they be in good enough condition to, close up and be
Hello, everybody. We were waiting to go online before because there were different timing announcing the launch of the Starship Flight Test 3 that should happen today in maybe 1 hour. There are the last time update say that it will be in 1 hour more or less, 1 hour and few seconds. And so we know that the launch window is terminating in a short time too. Therefore, if they don't make it to maintain this time, probably it will be delayed to of 1 day or more. They have I think they say they have 3 days available up to Sunday, I think, maybe Monday. But of course, we hope that it will happen now because all of us are very eager to see the positive result of this test. That they say if it will be positive, it will probably mean that there will be many more launches of a Starship in the next months, and that is fundamental. That is key for all the space programs coming in the next years, for starting with the moon Artemis program that will use Starship for the lander on the moon and for other missions and parts of the mission and so on. So,
Adriano, can I ask which stream are you trusting right now? Which live stream?
Well, I'm following 2 streams right now. One is the Everyday Astronaut. Everyday Astronaut is commenting live and is showing two views of the Starship on the launch infrastructure. And I'm also following the NSF, another space flight YouTube channel. There is a difference of few minutes between the two. NSF says 57 minutes, and Everyday Astronaut says 1 hour and 2 minutes. So it's just 5 minutes difference between the two timings.
Okay, I'll add one more for you here in the chat if you don't have this already.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a view from far away.
Yep, we are good. Thanks. Let's see. So yeah, back to we have all the tracking assets. We will also be piping in, portions of the SpaceX thing. So actually, at the stage separation, with the SpaceX feed. So we're trying to provide you guys a one-stop shop, so you don't have to flip around. However, I highly recommend getting all the devices out for something like this. Pull up other feeds from laptops.
That's the one I'm going to stick with because I'm pulling down a lot of bandwidth right now.
Not streaming to YouTube anymore. So we'll be integrating as many as we can and mission full audio on air for you guys, so that you can kind of hosted audio from.
So, okay, we can maybe share.
Join us. We're trying to make this as easy as for you as humanly possible. But we will have some awesome views as our camera, again, as daylight starts to happen more and more here, you will start seeing more and more. Hopefully,
I can't really share right now. Well,
Yeah, I'm sharing.
there you go. Thank you.
Because we are north, that's okay. I mean, that's okay. Oh, but big vent there. Big vent. That vent is interesting because that is indicative normally of crop load. Interesting.
Okay, so this says 47 minutes to the launch. So it seems to be aligned with the, no, it's less than the everyday astronauts say 59 minutes and Starbase says 56 minutes.
Everyone's scrambling. There's a chance that they feel good about the T0.
So the most optimist is this one.
Which I guess if you're all conditioned and ready to go for it, why not? I mean, it does. You do lose
The launch pad. Yeah.
So we're still going to be looking. Let's keep that side by side pulled up again. See what
That's the most optimist one, but there seems to be a lot of fog in all of them. So
that also gives me
I'm just going to stand by.
Well, fog seems to be a good thing because they were afraid about the wind that could
Right.
could be a problem, but maybe it was the high altitude winds, not earth level, ground level winds.
We will move our clock 8 minutes again. Welcome to Spaceflight. If you are new to watching rockets,
At least we can listen a little bit
now around the
what everyday astronauts say.
Base out in California. Those two areas get so much traffic, spaceflight traffic. A lot of the marine, the boaters, and the airspace, they're used to closures often. Down here in South Texas, a lot of people aren't used to this happening. It's not in there. Who, if you grew up around here, who checks for spaceflight missions? Like on the regular, if you're out here on a boat or something. So it is still unusual. There's still people getting used to it. I have some empathy there, honestly. I understand where it's like, I don't know, why would I check the marine notices? I was just doing my normal little fishing thing right here. I don't know. I have some empathy, especially there's a large area, a large bay where people can come in. That's not like in the ocean. You can just drive out. We used to actually have cameras out there, and it's not the best patrolled always. So it is easy for.
Okay, not saying very interesting things.
Cutoff for go for prop load. was going to be 8:35. If they did not have a go by then, they would not be able to launch within that window for the targeted time they had within their launch window. So they are going for here. We have go for prop load at this time. SpaceX now targeting 8:25 a.m. local time, 9:25 a.m. Eastern, or just 59 minutes from now. With that propellant loading, will begin onto the ship, but first with ship liquid oxygen, excuse me, beginning at T minus 53 minutes, or just 6 minutes from now. But if you're just joining us, this is happening. They're running the clock. And I think that's one of the biggest things with this. They are running the clock. They are going to the end of their launch window. They are going to fuel the ship, and they are going to hopefully thread the weather needle to be able to lift off tonight. But this is SpaceX. We've seen this many times before with Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. They'll run the clock, get to the end, and unfortunately have to call it. But as we continue to monitor the situation, we'll be taking you throughout the entire process with live commentary. We're hoping that the fog will break through enough for us to see this beautiful ship out there at the orbital launch facility prior to liftoff. But the moment SpaceX goes live, we will also be patching them in, so you can stay with us here on the launch pad for that full coverage as well, with whatever cameras and audio they are giving us. We're expecting SpaceX to go live in 28 minutes time from now, and once they do so, we will patch them in as well. But SpaceX officially go for prop load at 8:25 a.m. local time. As we continue through the countdown, we're going to update the rest of our countdown clocks and then begin our live countdown to launch commentary. Stay with us right here on the launch pad. You can start sending in those questions and comments, and I will work on answering those live in just the next few minutes as we count down to the third integrated flight test of Starship. Stay with us.
So since that we have a little less than 1 hour to wait for this launch, and yeah, the last commenter said that the the end of the launch window is approaching, and it will be, they still have to fuel and to make some necessary operations before launch. Therefore, it will be let's say a little bit critical launch today.
where not to go is as important as where to go. I have a video about that. Just search how to visit Starbase. I'm sure you'll find it. Yeah, we'll tell you everything. It's incredible. Honestly, it's the opportunity to be able to come and be this close to a rocket, closer than this camera is to that rocket. When it's not launching, you can go stand and see it, and the view is unbelievable. It really is like, we won't always have this opportunity. Now, this is not always going to exist, where we have the chance to, for the general public and for us spaceflight fans, to get this close to rocket. Even when we go to NASA, like, I've been up on pad 39A. I've been, right next to pad 39B. I've been right next to what feels like right next to rockets when they're about to launch. But in reality, we're still, I think we're like on pad 39A when we're on those berms. I think we're still something like 300 meters away. So, about 1,000 feet. Like it feels close, but I think you're closer. I would actually like to get Google Maps out and measure. I think you're closer than that even when you are at the entrance to the rocket, which is just absolutely wild. This view is going to be fun in slow-mo, assuming it doesn't completely get occluded by clouds, but yeah, we'll be shooting that in 4K 120, and you'll watch that thing ascend, and it's going to be beautiful. Yeah. So we should start seeing, though, we're coming up on fuel loading time here, hopefully in the next minute or so. So let's try to get the thermal up side by side again. We'll probably have to aim Mr. T back over towards the rocket and kind of get it framed up, and we'll prepare our side by side as we get ready for fuel up. This will let us know if they are on time or not. Oh man, what are you guys thinking? Thinking 810 is going to hold? So that's the current T0 is 810 local. We are at 7:16, so sun will be rising here in just a little bit here. But we currently are not seeing anything necessarily loaded. That's a perfect view. Great job, guys. Currently not seeing anything per se, but upload should begin soon, hopefully. Like we said, we're at T-minus 53 minutes would be when we expect to see locks being loaded on Starship on the upper stage there. So we're looking for vents, but so far it's Meredith, do you want to try pushing a comment on air and see if it works on your end? Because maybe it's just me. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I still cannot. I can highlight them, but they aren't popping up on screen, sadly. A night launch, the sun will come twice today. I was looking forward to it. Someday I do want to see a night launch of Starship. I'm really excited to see that plume interaction after stage separation between Starship and the booster doing a boost back burn with Methalox will be the most spectacular thing. There will be so many calls that there's a UFO in the sky, guaranteed. People will freak out. They will have no idea what they're seeing. But meanwhile, I will take daylight launches for now. I think that it does help, burn off. I don't know. I like the daylight footage, especially at liftoff, seeing, being able to have some fill light against the engines. Otherwise, at night you kind of just get engine shots. It's just not as satisfying. So I am glad that we're moving into daylight now, because it could have, 7. It could have launched. The launch window started at 7. They could have launched at night. Luckily now, obviously throughout the rest of the year until whatever it's called, the sun will be rising earlier and earlier. And I think that launch window will never really get. Look at this, people gathering at Isla Blanca on South Padre. Awesome shot. Yes, these are the shots that we wanted to have for so long. That is Blaine out there. Thank you so much for being out there. All the people that will be celebrating and watching this launch. Crowd starting to join at Isla Blanca there. So cool to see families gathering. It is spring break time coming up here around the island. Is starting to get very busy. So this launch, I think if it happens to launch tomorrow or Saturday, it'll be right smack in spring break time. So plan around that. If you are trying to catch this launch in person, do know there might be induced extra traffic because of spring break. But meanwhile, let's make sure we keep the rocket on screen at all times. I do love that shot, and I want to keep that shot coming in here every now and then. But let's make sure we're kind of keeping the rocket on screen as we are awaiting prop load, which I'm not seeing any signs of right now. I gotta say, my personal feeling again, my gut feeling is it's been pushed further beyond 8-10 a.m. Since we're not seeing any propellant loading onto the vehicle, I feel like our T clock will likely be updating, awaiting more information from SpaceX at this point. They're currently, 10 minutes ago is the last update we got for 8-10. It is not going to be 8-10 based on the fact that we're not seeing any prop loading. Watch. Again, they have until 8:50 local time here, so 8:10. They still have a 40-minute window, 40 additional minutes in this launch window to clear out whatever boats were in the way, causing the scrub. Okay, let's keep trying to go here. This is I am missing a lot. There's some big ones, like from Michael Klusterman saying, "Thank you for fully committing to your journey. I'm here to see this candle get lit. I owe a lot to that silly orange spacesuit." Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that, Michael. By the way, we are hearing something spin up. I'm hearing a lot more activity at the pad. That could be a good sign. We'd be likely behind. Nothing seems to have changed yet on the actual pad, but we are seeing, yep, there we go. We are seeing more activity at the tank farm again, which is indicative again that they might be going for prop load. So I'm guessing that tends to happen about an hour out. Yeah, we might be on for like an 8:20, awaiting further information from SpaceX. But yeah, thank you so much, though, Michael Kluster. That is a very generous donation, $50. Thank you so much. I'm just glad you guys are here watching with us. There we go. Thermal camera is giving you a sense that the tank farm is spooling up. Actually, that's a good view. Go up a tiny bit more just so we don't crop the nose off there, because we can see the header tank loading in. But I do like seeing the tank farm spooling over there on the left. That is perfect. That is perfect. Okay. We're seeing some activity. This is a good sign. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times with the prop loading. Shame on all of us, I guess. I have no idea. But hopefully we get a new tier 0 time. I think it'd be safe. Again, we're waiting for SpaceX to actually give us a new tier 0 time. But no, they have not. But it seems like this is looking like about an 8:20, so about an hour. I think it pushed 10 minutes. I think we will likely be adding about 10 minutes to the T0 clock. So don't freak out when that happens. Not all is lost. Edward R asking infrastructure question. Are the distances involved for remote cameras that bad that you cannot use one of those point-to-point networking solutions? Keep up the good work. That's actually what we do. We have a lot of air fiber. We have a lot of what were we using for air fiber? We still use air fiber. But we also were using just what's that called? Nano beams and thingy beams and oh my god, 2.4 gigahertz. Someone help Andrew. Someone in my ear. Just tell me what the other air fiber is that we're using forever. And still have Air Max? No. Power beams. There we go. Thank you. That's what I was thinking for. Power beam. It's just out here drowning in sweat and tears, forgetting what a power beam was. But yeah, we use different solutions for different applications. So Starlink is getting better to the point where we can use it for a 4K stream. The big problem with Starlink is that its upload speeds still aren't phenomenal. We're getting roughly 20 to 30 megabits per second up, which is good. That is, if it's stable, you know, if it's constant 20 or 30, we can push 4K feed through it. But the problem is when we can't do multiple cameras from there.
Hey Tim,
Yes.
this just in, we have a new T0 of 8:25 a.m. for SpaceX's tweet 12 seconds ago.
What was it?
8:25 a.m.
Okay, so we weren't that far off. Okay, that's great. 8:25. T-minus 1 hour. So we have about 7 more minutes until we see prop load beginning on the rocket. You can see the Starlink dishes in this shot here, guys. I love this. Now that it's getting brighter, we can actually see some stuff. Those little black boxes there, that is where the Starlink dishes are. So right there is the connector that connects the interface, the quick disconnect for the Starship. Yeah, this is exciting. This is exciting. Look at that. Oh, I just love that we have options. Mr. T RoboCam coming in clutch. This was one that was really important to me, is that we actually get this smooth zooms, smooth pan and tilt, smooth 6K, 60 frames a second at 6K. Come on. How can you not be excited about this stuff? When this thing takes off, it's going to be stunning. And I just hope, I wonder what our other views are getting, if it does appear to be getting a little more foggy at the exact moment. But sunrise coming up here, so prop load should begin here in about a little less than 6 minutes. We have not seen any prop load actually begin. We keep getting like really close, like, is it? Is it? Is it? But this should be good. So, sorry?
Venting on the tower right now.
Yes. That is more venting than we've seen. That is a very good sign. Likely about T-minus 5 minutes done until they actually begin loading liquid oxygen into Starship. So what they're doing right now, so they're purging, and liquid oxygen is obviously very cold. The pipes, however, are not at cryogenic temperatures at all times, obviously. So what you're actually seeing is gaseous oxygen pouring out of, you know, as they're starting to fill up the all of the pipes going up into the rocket. You're actually seeing boil off, because, you know, liquid oxygen is really cold. It comes in contact with the relatively warm, you know. They might be cold by our standards. Like if you went up and touched the pipe right now, it'd still be so cold it could freeze your hand, but it might be too warm for liquid oxygen, therefore boiling it off and turning it into a gas. You know, the gas that we're familiar with. Most of us are probably most familiar with gas, with oxygen being a gas, because we breathe it in. At minus 183 degrees Celsius, though, it turns into, I think that's about what it is. I always forget. I think it's about minus 183. It does turn into a liquid, and it densifies. It becomes almost 1,000 times more dense between a gas and a liquid. So that's why rockets use liquid propellant. They cool it down and densify it so that it can fit. They can fit as much propellant, as much potential energy, really, as they can inside of a fixed volume. So if they were trying to use, let's say they wanted to use gaseous oxygen and gaseous methane inside the rocket, the tanks would need to be roughly 1,000 times bigger, which wouldn't be quite 1,000 times heavier, because the relationship between volume and, you know, things like the circumference of the rocket and all that stuff, but it would be much heavier. So obviously that would take away from your payload. I don't think it's even possible to use, like, I don't even know if you could lift. I don't even know if you could run a rocket on gaseous things and get even anywhere near space. Like it just, the rocket equation would be so nasty for gaseous oxygen and gaseous methane. It would be horrible. Wow. All right, we have time for another. I think we got to do this about every 30 minutes. We're trying to purge the world of the fake, spam, and scam accounts. There's still tons of them. If you search right now on YouTube and say SpaceX or Starship, you will see about 10 or 20 scam streams. If you please report them. That's our only weapon we have right now as a community to fight misinformation and to help prevent people from getting scammed out of money, thinking that Elon's giving them Bitcoin or something for a rocket launch, which, I mean, I feel bad, but there are sadly gullible people. that might see that and be like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know they're doing that, you know. And but unfortunately, we see people then that are like, well, it blew up, and it just spreads misinformation. So, by the way, you can see a blimp there. That blimp is actually part of. I didn't realize that's only how high it is. I thought it was a lot. I think it is a lot higher than that. Oh, it's actually parked right now. It's just landed. Okay, that's actually part of Border Patrol, if I recall correctly. The Coast Guard. So not flying right now. It's an aero what? An aerostat? An aerostat. Didn't know. Thank you for that information. Cool. Aerostat. There it is. The Border Patrol Aerostat. But yeah, we got 137,000 people. Let's get some of you guys helping to report those fakes. If you see a stream that has a QR code, that's a red flag right there. Just report that. Get that out of here. That's our best weapon right now to fight these fake streams. We are truly live. If you're joining us, we are actually live in real life. Hello, everyone. To all of the people here, including a nice tip and a recommendation from Cywood saying make sure to select 4K manually. Mine was stuck on 1080p for some reason, and it doesn't do it enough justice. It is actually shocking when you're watching on a TV. The reality is, like, most of the time between 1080 and 4K, depending on how far you're sitting from the monitor, you really probably won't notice. However, the one thing you will notice on YouTube, the compression of 1080 is horrible. It just actually looks bad. That's what I notice when I'm watching. If I have to toggle between 1080 and 4K, it's like an instant, like, oh, like someone put glasses on you, like, oh, everything looks way better. You don't see nearly as many compression artifacts. There's probably a lot more taxing on YouTube's end, but hey, come on. We are the only point-to-point from photon to your eyeball 4K stream available. So welcome. We are 5 miles or 8 kilometers away from this rocket right here in our studio. We will be going outside, which soon we need to actually get the bags off of equipment out there on the deck and prepare to go outside here. We'll probably do that at T-minus 30 minutes or so. But yeah, make sure you're watching in 4K. Send the stream to a friend if they're excited about this rocket. But we are coming up on what we expect to be prop load at T-minus 53 minutes. We expect to see liquid oxygen loading onto Starship. So let's go ahead and get the side-by-side up here if we have that available, so we can hopefully start to get a glimmer of whether or not it's actually loading onto the booster, because our thermal here will actually be able to cut through that condensation cloud pretty well, and you'll actually probably be able to see it loading up onto the ship. Because right now it's pretty obscured by the condensation, as you can tell. Hey, but good news, I see some of our trackers are still seeing things, which is fantastic. So we do have some line of sights. So we should be seeing propellant loading begin, starting with the ship with liquid oxygen. So we're just going to be looking for, basically, it'll start to look like a solid white line at Starship, pretty close to that condensation cloud, right around there. Currently, you know, the liquid or the gaseous oxygen is kind of blocking the visible light through there, but again, our thermal cam will actually probably start cutting through that. Once it gets cold enough, as the ship cools down, you'll actually start to see a line growing. Yeah, it's funny, the thermal cam is definitely working. However, the readout for the temperatures are way wrong. That is so funny. I'm glad that the thermal aspect is working. I'm confused why the yeah. Dang. This is crazy, guys. It is yeah, it is happy. This is a good question from Justin Wood. Love the work you guys do. Question: how much extra propellant does SpaceX store in the tank farm? On a failed load, how many retries would they have? So they're continually making upgrades, so some of this information might be not as valuable. But I think with the recent upgrades, they might have enough. If they load today, completely load, and then scrub, I don't know what the reset time is anymore. Previously, it seemed to be almost 3 full days. If they had to totally fill, drain, they lose that much propellant that it would take 3 days to replenish. I suspect with the upgrades that's a lot quicker now, that we would likely, if they go
Hello, Frank.
Adriano, is it just the three of us? Hello? Adriano, can you hear me?
Not seeing any prop loads.
SpaceX just tweeted that propeller mode of Starship's upper stage is now underway as of 30 seconds ago.
Okay, so that means they closed the vent valve on the tower, and they are officially
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and you? Can you hear me?
Good. What's going on? When are we going to start watching the launch?
Yes, we're trying to follow the launch, but yeah, I'm seeing in the timing that still 49 minutes. The timing, still 49 minutes to the launch. That means that it will go near the end of the launch window.
Mm.
So I don't know if they will succeed to launch today or not. But
Mm. Mm.
following the different yeah, the another space flight YouTube channel also say 47 minutes, and and
I'll come back. I'll sort out some other meetings. This is
yeah,
creating havoc in my
yes,
schedule.
we are also making the same to come back and check and then doing something else. Okay,
I'll
so
come back.
see you later.
I'll come back. 49 minutes. Okay.
Okay, bye. Bye-bye. So we will start sharing one of the many different live streams that are going on, and we come back in about 20 minutes when we will be close to the launch.
trying to see if it's anything on our end or if it happens to be YouTube. Wouldn't be great if it was on YouTube's end. Everyone just do a refresh on YouTube. Sometimes the stream has been live for 8 hours and 40 minutes and it's 4K. YouTube servers might be like, do you still have to do this? So go ahead and refresh the YouTube feed. Let us know. We will. It's buffering for people still. yeah, let us know if you guys in just, 4 views without me talking. So if that's of interest of you and you want to continue your own mission control in your own house, being a supporter anywhere, we have a link. So if you support on YouTube as a subscriber, if you or as a member, Patreon supporter or an ex-subscriber, we did post a link to our clean feed. It's 4 different views. They just kind of stay up the whole time. So if you're one of those people with multiple monitors and you're trying to watch every single angle, you can add 4 more. And you can just hear, if you don't want to hear me talk, I totally get it. Don't worry. I won't take offense to that. I'm here just watching with you guys, trying to keep you guys as up to date as possible. And I know they said prop load has begun, but I'm not seeing it on thermal. But we should be getting close to prop loading on the booster. And there is a lot of condensation. Oh, the black line on the tower. That is crazy. What is black? Black should be hot on thermal, right? And what? Okay. Wow. Wow. So like heat pump style, like there's likely the black part is the heat coming out of the system. And the white is so it is probably flowing. We're just not yet seeing it. It might still be filling the bulkheads and we might not be seeing it yet. How are our views looking out there? Still foggy. Still foggy. Really hoping sunrise has happened, right? 7:38. Sunrise has happened. However, we need more of that sun to burn off those clouds and the fog that is sitting over us right now.
SpaceX has tweeted that prop load of the Super Heavy booster is underway as of 30 seconds ago.
That lines up with their timeline. Oh, there we go. Ring. A ring has begun on the ship too. You can finally see a white ring on the ship. Yep, there is that. Our thermal camera proves that they have been loading propellants. Don't forget, you won't see it until it really gets. There's a bulkhead, so there's like a bowl. Imagine a bowl inside of a tube. You won't see it while it's in the bowl part, so you don't actually see it. It won't affect the outer skin until it gets to the upper rim of that bowl, and then it'll just be filling like a cup. So they could have been filling it for a while, and you don't see it. So that is great news. That is great news. Cool, cool, cool. Ooh, we got a black line on the booster. That also must be like a purge line or something interesting. I've never seen these black lines. I need Zach from CSI Starbase to tell me why there'd be black lines on the booster there. I mean, that would be coming between, that's the common dome. It goes right up to the common dome between the methane tank and the oxygen tank. But that's shocking how contrasted that is. It's so crazy. You can't see that on the visible light, but you see it. You sure do see it on the thermal cam. Again, ignore. I wish we could turn off the temperature overload. I don't know if we can because it is so wrong. But the thermal camera is very much working. This is so cool. And now you start to see it on the booster as well. Look at the bottom of the booster. We can watch live as the propellant fills the vehicle. That is so freaking awesome. Come on, are you not entertained? We are. Oh, I'm getting excited now that I know like the rocket is with propellant. It is looking fantastic, everybody. Yes. This is so great. We're still getting dropouts on YouTube. That's not great for us. I think everything on our end data wise is actually good. So sadly, it might be a YouTube ingest issue right now, which is very
8:25 a.m. Central Time. That's our T0 right now. We primarily shifted later as we were just working to clear the range. The other big watch item today is going to be the winds. The winds have started to pick up. We're still looking to be below our limits, but there could be a hold at T minus 40 seconds just to make sure that the winds are acceptable before we go. We are actively loading propellant on board the vehicle. You can see by the frost line starting to build up. Looks like we're about 80% on the ship main tanks right now, and a little over 60% on the booster. Now, Starship uses liquid methane as its fuel, liquid oxygen as its oxidizer. Both of those get cooled down to cryogenic temperatures, so several hundred degrees below zero. And if you followed along with our previous 2 flight tests, the prop load timeline today looks a little bit different. Those first flight tests, it took us about 90 minutes to load all of the prop on board. But since the second flight, we made some pretty significant upgrades to make that time shorter. We added some additional fuel and LOX pumps just to increase our capacity. We expanded the number of heat exchangers and installed a dedicated fill drain line for each stage. But they were sharing one before, now they each have their own. That's just that main pathway to get the propellant to the vehicle. We're aiming for about 51 minutes for today's operation to fully load prop. We did that successfully on our wet dress rehearsal that we did recently. Eventually, though, we're trying to get that time down to about 40 minutes. Just for some context, that's about 5 minutes longer than we take on Falcon 9, but we're doing it with 10 times the amount of propellant. Now, the propellant load on ship started at about T minus 53 minutes, booster right around T minus 42 minutes. We are about to pause loading on the main tanks of ship, switch over to the header tanks, and then switch back to close out the main tanks. We're expecting all of the prop to be on ship at about T minus 30 seconds, and then booster prop load ends at T minus 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Now our final countdown and startup sequence is going to be the same as flight 2. We already tested this on this booster when we did it static fire. Looking back for flight 1, we lit those Raptor engines on the booster and lifted off about 6 seconds later. Flight 2, we reduced that.
Hello, Bernard.
Hello, so welcome from our Business Innovation Center in The Hague, where we are discussing about the future programs. And so we are still watching this historical event, Rio. As you know, this is supposed to last 65 minutes in orbit and with a splashdown, but there are a lot of technical challenges and a lot of promise as well. So back to you.
No, we were waiting. We were looking at different stream lives that are giving different times, different timings to the launch. Now the most interesting is the launch pad. YouTube channel saying that 16 minutes are just only 16 minutes are missing to the launch.
So yes, we have all different time zone, but the same universal time, and we are also in minus 16 minutes. So that's from all over the world we are watching with big interest.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, we see also from the peak that yeah, the operations are going ahead, the launch pad, and we can think that maybe maybe they will really launch because the launch window is not far. The end of the launch window is just in maybe half an hour or something like that. So it's very important. They can keep the program today. We will not stop the countdown and the operations. So we have with us Julio Rezende from Brazil. We have Wes Fayers from the United States. We have Bernard Foing, our president of SMI, and Natalia Discomi from Space Renaissance Italia. And we had Frank White a few minutes ago. Maybe he will join us again in the next minutes. So, Wes, maybe you have some comments about this historical launch of today.
Definitely I will. I'm just trying to get my everything synced up here so I won't drop off again. Can you provide the exact link in the chat so I can tune in live with you?
Sorry, no. What do you need from me in the chat?
I'm just trying to get on the same exact Launchpad live stream.
Ah, okay, yes. I give it to you here. Just a moment. Need to find the correct link. Too many things on my desktop. Yeah, this is the link. Oh no, I have to send to the meeting group. Okay.
Which directly translates to more payload and more people to the moon and Mars.
Now, the first stop will be the moon, and the SpaceX team has been hard at work proving out all of the systems necessary to make that possible. Critical systems for propulsion, life support, and even the elevator that you see here, which will take crew and cargo from the Starship hatches down to the lunar surface, are currently in development. And the data that we gather from each test flight helps inform their design. Here we've got a photo of some of the mock-up suits that are used to demonstrate the range of mobility that astronauts will be expected to have. And we were using these to do human factors demonstrations and figure out the layout of the elevator. So all awesome development work for a future moon mission.
Super cool. Now, SpaceX will perform one uncrewed demonstration flight before NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will be the first human surface expedition since 1972. After those first expeditions, we'll be ready to fly more people along with everything it takes to build a moon base. There's so much to look forward to. It's incredible that humans are finally going back to the moon.
You couldn't have said it better, Kate. And the moon is just the proving ground. It's just the start. When the time comes to make the leap to Mars, everything ramps up by orders of magnitude. The logistics of supporting an entire city on Mars are daunting and will require millions of pounds of cargo flown from Earth and spread out over thousands of launches.
And today's flight test is one more step toward that.
Okay, we know that this test will be different from the one that was foreseen in Flight Test 2. Starship will not make a complete orbit this time, just a part, and will splash down in the Indian Ocean, and it will reach a suborbital altitude and will make several tests during the about maybe 80 minutes of the flight, including opening and closing the hatch that will in future launches allow satellites to be released in orbit. And it will also perform a test of fuel movement from one part to another part of the Starship itself. So very important test that will allow to go ahead with many other launches in 2024. In view of the Artemis missions that will begin just 1 year later in 2025. So, okay, now 10 minutes. The timing says 10 minutes to the launch. We go back to the. Can go back to the audio of the live stream, or some of us want to say something. Well, I go back to the audio of the live stream from the launch pad.
Say flight proven.
We've landed Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy boosters 283 times since first doing so in 2015. And with Starship, our mission is to take reusability even further by reflying both stages with little downtime between flights. And we plan to fly as often as possible. As we mentioned earlier, rapid and complete reusability is critical to enabling routine spaceflight. The team at Starbase has been hard at work developing and manufacturing the hardware that will ultimately take humans back and forth to the moon and Mars.
Now, even though we are not recovering Starship today, test flights like these provide the critical data that we need through every phase of flight. And that data informs future missions and gets us to that future where Starships are being recovered.
Teams are also working on the ground systems that will support rapid reusability. When we start recovering Starship boosters, we'll want them to return to the launch site for a quicker turnaround, as you can see here depicted in this animation on your screen. This is when the tower reveals its dual purpose. After launch, the arms or the chopsticks on the tower will help guide the booster into position to ensure a soft landing. Now, if you're thinking that this sounds hard or even impossible to do, well, that's the inspiration for naming them chopsticks. Some of you might recall a little film called The Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi famously taught the main character, Daniel, that if he could catch a fly with chopsticks, he could accomplish anything.
Now, today we do have 4 ships and 4 super heavy boosters built, with more coming off the production line as our Star Factory continues to grow. These vehicles are slated for future flight tests just like today's. And in fact, just this week, we static fired our next ship that's planning to fly and expect to test the booster as soon as the launch mount is free from today's flight test.
Now, as a reminder, today is still just a test. While we really hope to get our splashdown location in the Indian Ocean, but any data received will help us improve. It's the third of many future flight tests for Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And that's the goal of flight tests. They teach us about the limits of our design and improve our understanding of the vehicle, and ultimately help us make Starship more reliable and rapidly reusable. So whatever the outcome and however far we get, we can promise excitement. And things look like they are moving fast at Starbase, and that's exactly how we like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Iteration is a key of SpaceX.
Yeah, we've done it with all of our major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon, and Starlink. We believe that if you're not failing, you're not learning and improving the design.
Yeah, many of the innovations that we've developed have come from our failures, and they teach us how to avoid the perils of spaceflight. It's a tough business. But all of this testing, all of the iterative design allows us to make the design better and better to do some of the great accomplishments with reflight that we've had so far.
Exactly. One of the examples that we love to talk about is the Dragon capsule, like the one located behind Shiva and I here on the mezzanine. Originally, it was not designed to be reusable. We wanted to improve the initial design. And then when we brought Dragon 2 online, we had to do a lot of corrosion analysis based on flights that had splashed down and analysis on hardware received there. And now our Dragons are reusable and also rapidly at a much rapid pace than they used to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, great learnings from our original Dragon to our new crew and cargo vehicles have directly improved the operations, and they've helped us change our understanding of what's possible when it comes to rocket and spacecraft reusability. Now, we're just under T-minus 6 minutes, so I think it's another good time to check in with Dan for the rest of terminal count. How are we looking, Dan?
Thanks, Shiver. We're looking good. 5 minutes, 35 seconds, and we're counting down. We are just about at closing the prop load sequences on booster and ship. Just a reminder, ship we're going to close out at around 3 minutes and 30 seconds, booster at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Once all of that prop is loaded on board, we'll have about 10 million pounds of propellant on both stages of Starship. Now, after that happens, we'll go through a couple of different procedures with the ground. We'll do what's called pushbacks, clearing out the lines between our prop farm and the vehicles themselves before we get to launch. And then in the next few minutes, we'll get the final guidance system alignments, some final thrust vector control on the booster checks, and all that will be performed. And again, if we need to hold, we have a hold gate built in at T-minus 40 seconds where we can hang out. It sounds like today we'll have about 15 minutes to hold at T-minus 40 if we need to. If we hit that right now, it looks like the most likely reason would be winds. We're not tracking any technical issues to our T0 at 8:25, just about 4.5 minutes from now.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're looking at a live view of the orbital launch complex at Starbase, Texas, where we are T-minus 4 minutes, 20 seconds and counting to launch for Starship's third integrated flight test. Propellant loading is wrapping up. Engine chill is well underway. The fog has cleared, and we are just hoping that the winds will hold down the last 4 minutes and counting. Here at the launch pad, a few things we always do heading into the final minutes of the count. We want to see a go, no go from you, our crew. If you're a TLP member, you can hit that. If you're not a TLP member, you can hit that join button. It's 99 cents a month, gets you access to those custom TLP launch emojis that we use for every launch when we do that go, no go. Or you can just type it in the chat. As we are 3 minutes, 40 seconds and counting, let's get that going.
Hello, Frank.
Me montre un petit peu.
Deux 46. 2 minutes 46. Je suis vraiment devant y aller parce que rendez-vous à.
Can you hear me?
Avant.
Ah,
Je vais vous laisser parce que j'ai un rendez-vous à 14h30.
Hello, Frank.
bon, on vous dira bien.
Je vous laisse faire
Au plaisir.
et à très bientôt. Je vais être en contact, mais nous, pour le double astronaute et
Vous voulez l'intervention? Vous pouvez dire allez, yes. Oui, allez, ça. I have a very special guest here. He is the chief of culture and science in the French embassy, and he has a special message for you.
Allez Starship de la part de l'ambassade de France aux Pays-Bas.
Very good. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we are. We are close. Very nervous. Merci.
T'es ravi.
Oui, à la prochaine. Oh, merci. Ok. So, vous l'avez. Yeah, we have many screens to follow.
Okay, crossing fingers. They will not start. They will not stop the countdown. One minute, 39 seconds, 36. Holding our breath for this historical launch. We hope that will open the way to civilian space development. And start the humanity expansion into space. So these launches of the Starship are so charged of meaningful significance.
Yeah. Yeah, we are ready. Space Renaissance from all over the world is watching this event that is going to transform. And that's the next step for us, citizens, to go to space.
Yeah, now 20 minutes. 20 seconds, sorry, 60 seconds. Let's see.
Oh, yes. Yes, it has started. Liftoff. Wow.
Flying.
What a power. 50 meters, 150 tons of payload. You can bring your home into this Starship. And 100 passengers in the future will go to the moon and Mars when it is validated and safe.
We are feeling the rumble. We are seeing 33 Raptor engines ignited on the super heavy booster.
Yes.
Continue to call out our trajectory looking nominal, systems looking nominal. Just amazing to see all 33 lit up once again. This one we've already passed through max Q, that maximum dynamic pressure. And passing supersonic, so we're now moving faster than the speed of sound. Getting those onboard views from the ship cameras. Now the next major milestone is going to be a hot staging maneuver. Again, we're going to be doing that in just about 90 seconds. To do that, we're going to shut down all but the 3 center Raptor engines on super heavy. We're going to release. Starship second stage will ignite its engines, the RVACs first, the sea levels right after that. The sea level engines will be splayed or just kind of pointed out at about a 15-degree angle. So we get good tracking. And so those 6 engines will push Starship off of the booster. All right, counting down now. We're going to be coming up right around the 3-minute mark on that hot staging maneuver. Again, we'll see the booster engines start to shut down. You'll see all but 3 lights go out in the middle. And then we'll see the engines ignite on ship, pushing it away. And that will start carrying the ship into space. Booster will start to do its flip and then move into the boost back burn, setting it up before eventually splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. Hot staging confirmed. Boosters now making its way back, seeing 6 engines ignited on ship. Kate, we got a Starship on its way to space and a booster on the way back to the Gulf.
Oh man, I need a moment to pick my jaw up from the floor because these views are just stunning. These are live views from Starship. First stage is currently performing the boost. Good, their news informing us that the second stage of the ship, everything looking good, nominal there. First stage is currently performing the boost back burn, expecting that to last about 1 minute. That boost back burn propels the booster back towards the coast, taking it to a landing in the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. We're only using the super heavy boosters, 13 center engines from here on out. As whenever they relight, you'll be able to see that in the left bottom corner. Those are the ones that can gimbal. In other words, they move and change direction in order to change the thrust to steer the first stage back to Earth. Wow, these are just incredible views coming to us. Everything is looking good for both the first stage on the left-hand side of your screen or the super heavy booster, as well as on the right-hand side of your screen, that is Starship, or we also refer to that as the ship. Now, the boost back burn was the first of 2 burns required to return it to Earth. The next one will be the landing burn, where all 13 center engines will initially ignite and then transition into a 3-engine burn to help slow it down. Now, just as a reminder of the stage 1 test objectives, we're looking for controlled ascent, which we have so far. Stage separation, which gorgeous, we cruised right through it, as well as trajectory. Good news there, telling us that the path that Starship is on is good. Now, Starship's second stage is still firing its engines, and as you heard, following planned flight path, the ship objectives, we're looking for hot staging, again, right through that. We're looking to demonstrate controlled ascent, as well as orbital insertion. Now, the bottom right-hand corner of the screen shows the ship engine graphics, so be sure to keep an eye on those.
Yeah, Kate, like this is just a phenomenal test so far. Super Heavy is performing beautifully today. It's on its return leg of the journey. Ship continuing to burn its 6 engines, those larger circles, the Raptor vacuum engines, the inner circles, the Raptor sea level engines. We're about 30 seconds away, just under 30 seconds away. The start of the boost back burn. Excuse me, the landing burn on the booster. You can see the grid fins are rotating. Those grid fins are guiding us through the atmosphere back towards our splashdown site. Again, we're going for a splashdown, a soft splashdown. So for landing burn, we're going to expect to see the 13 center engines light, rapidly bring down the booster's velocity, and then just the 3 in the center for splashdown. Let's see if that'll work. We'll get a few engines. And acquisition of signal. Let's see if we can get some other video of that. Now, this is a test objective today. It is still something that we're attempting to learn. And to make it that far, to demonstrate the controlled re-entry up to that point is pretty darn good. Ship continuing to look nominal with its ascent burn. This burn lasting about 6 minutes total. And we're expecting that this burn will end just after T+8 minutes, about a minute from now. So far, though, I mean, congrats to the team. Making it this far is farther than we've gone.
Absolutely.
On Flight 2. Just wonderful views and great engine performance from the vehicles. So far, we've hit controlled ascent. We're in the middle of that right now. We demonstrated the hot staging. Kate, as you said, cruised through that. We demonstrated controlled entry of the booster. Just stopped a little short of the engine relay, but hey, that's something we can learn for the next one.
Yeah, now that view that we just had moments ago was a live shot of Star Command. There you see it again. This is our Mission Control Center at Starbase, where vehicle operators are standing by. Now, the next milestone coming up is in less than a minute. At that point, ship will, or I'm sorry, actually it already has.
Engine cut off.
There we go. As you heard there, by the color and from the crowd, oh my God.
Bello, ma io in un villaggio mai. Bello, no?
Sì, bello, ma io...
Look at these views, Dan.
I'm just completely blown away right now. What a day. Congratulations to the entire SpaceX team. I mean, this flight pretty much just started, but We're farther than we've ever been before. We've got a Starship not just in space.
Yeah, we watch a launch from the Starship. You know, rocket.
158, 159 kilometers.
Would you have a glass of water? Just normal water?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It means 159, 160 kilometers.
D'accord.
It is-
Bon, je vais aussi.
Sorry, Bernard.
Je vais en dire. Oui, c'est un plaisir.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we are 163 kilometers is well over the suborbital altitude. So I don't know if this was in the plan to reach such an altitude. However, I think so far everything is going well.
Definitely cross the Von Karman line.
Yeah, definitely, yes. And it's about 100 kilometers, the Karman line, yes. I don't remember how long will the test is the test foreseen. It will not be 90 minutes because 90 minutes will be a complete orbit. So, but the speed is near the orbital speed is 26,390 kilometers per hour, and the orbital speed is 27. So we are not, and also the altitude, the 175 kilometers is already an orbital altitude.
Have we seen a live feed like this so far? Does this surpass? It sets some kind of record. I forget which. I think it might be
yeah.
I'm not sure. Not sure.
It's still climbing. 179, 180. But the speed is decreasing now. So at what point will they make the test, the two tests that they have planned, the opening of the hatch and the transfer of fuel? Or was maybe something of that already done?
And if you are just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. Wow, those last 13 minutes, I'm speechless. I think like all of us here, amazing view right here. I want to point this out. Look at the people gathered at Mission Control Hawthorne. We haven't seen something like this since Falcon Heavy's maiden flight. First off, to the entire SpaceX team, the engineers, the mission control, everyone that worked on this, congratulations. SpaceX Starship is in a coast phase in space. She is flying. The Super Heavy booster came home, and it just had a few engines not light at the end. It made re-entry from the Karman line back to Earth. This is a huge advancement for the Starship program. Absolutely massive. We are T plus 13 minutes, 45 seconds into flight. Starship 193 kilometers in altitude, traveling over 26,000 kilometers an hour, just shy of reaching orbit on its journey towards the Indian Ocean. We are staying live, so don't go anywhere. I see some of you signing off. Don't go anywhere. We've still got lots of history to make, as Starship is going to test these heat shield tiles in just about 40 minutes' time to see if she can come back through the Earth's atmosphere after making almost orbit. If you guys have questions, now's the time to send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad. I'm going to work on answering those live to the best of my ability. That is a view inside. I believe that's a view inside the livable space. I don't know if that was supposed to go live or not, but that was an incredible view inside what will be the future of these capsules. These will be future space stations. These will be vehicles that take us to the moon and then on to Mars. Truly, truly incredible to see these. If you guys have questions, tag us at the launch pad. We'll work on answering those live. We're also working on getting up the clips throughout today's flight. So far, launch, hot staging, so you can relive those, share them with your friends and family as we really are seeing SpaceX Starship make history here today. As I said, you can keep sending in those questions in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad. If you haven't yet, though, and maybe to start us off, I know there's many new people. Hello, welcome. My name is Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the launch pad, and on behalf of our entire TLP crew, both on Starbase, in the Space Coast, and around the world, thank you so much for joining us here for your Starship Flight 3 live launch coverage. We're honored to have you here. If you like space, make sure you subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage, docking, undocking, or return to Earth. We do exclusive one-on-one interviews, factory tours. We've got so much planned, and we also are rolling out for 24/7 cameras. So those that have been watching, it wasn't just counted.
On parle de vol, c'est ça?
Oui, oui, de vol, hein, de lancement. Hein. Yes, I have a special guest with me. Yes, how is that? Yes, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Jean-Jacques Pierrat. He is the special science attaché of the French embassy here in the Netherlands, and we are planning a number of very special events between science and space and even culture. And he has a special message for Space Renaissance and for Starship.
And I am a pilot, so
he's a pilot.
It doesn't mean a lot to me. So congratulations, because that was really a great launch, and hope everything will be fine. And congratulations once again. Thank you.
Okay, so merci. And so we are all looking forward to meet some of you in our next Space Renaissance event, including here in the Netherlands, but also in Italy for the International what we call Congress in Milano, where will be a very large group from Space Renaissance and all the partners. So as Adriano has mentioned, we have a great program of activities for this year, International Year of Space and the Moon, and Space for All. Thank you very much to us.
Thank you, Bernard, and thank you, Dr. Kira. Very, very glad to meet you, and hope we will meet in person soon. And of course, if you want to reach, to join us, you are very welcome, and I will personally welcome you on board when you join. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bravo.
So now the flight is not ended. We just listened that there are about 40 minutes more, during which Starship will perform the planet tests and then make a controlled splash in the Indian Ocean. And now it is at 216 kilometers, 217, so it's still climbing. So the speed remain around 26,000 kilometers per hour. It's not rising anymore, but the altitude is still growing. A fantastic flight for sure. So we will reshare the live we will share again our live stream from the launch pad channel. But now I would like very much to welcome Frank White and invite him to share his thoughts in this historical moment. Frank.
Thanks, Adriana. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on a computer that does not have video. Apologies for that. But I'll go ahead and I'll share my thoughts. Well, this is really a game changer, and it's a game changer we've been waiting for. I think as people have looked ahead to what Starship can do, it will really shift the momentum toward the ability to have large-scale space migration. And Adriana, as you and I have talked about and written about, we really have to look beyond mission to motivation and also to migration. What is our motivation here in pushing forward space flight? It's not for single flights. It's for being able to move large numbers of industries and people out off of the Earth to give the Earth a chance to recover from dealing with our technological civilization. And so I believe the consensus has been for a long time that a spaceship like this one is necessary to get anywhere close to that. That's why it's historic from my point of view, is what it holds for the future. And I hope the media will not center on any little thing that went wrong. Just about every Starship test we've had before has had some kind of an explosion, and the media tends to focus on that rather than what the test was about. And this one was pretty close to flawless so far. And I'm hoping that they'll be able to see that. One last thing I want to mention, as I've been watching on various YouTube channels, there are a lot of people online watching all over the world. And there were a lot of people driving, desperately trying to get there. And I hope the media will take note of the fact that people really are interested in spaceflight,
Sure.
space exploration. There's a tendency to look at what NASA is doing and judge everything by that. But there's a lot more than that. And I believe humanity as a whole is fascinated with what we're fascinated with. And we just have to reach them with our message. I strongly feel that they get it intuitively, and they want to be inspired by the kind of thing we saw today. So I think it's a big day. I think historic is a word overused, but today I think we can use it, and we're using it in an accurate way. So onward, upward, ad astra.
Yeah, definitely, Ad Astra. Yes,
Yeah.
I think the media don't understand that this is the methodology that Elon Musk has chosen for his work. He's working, he's not testing everything before like NASA and other entities do. He work on the method of try, fail, learn from the failures. So this is, let me say, more closer to the scientific world, the classic scientific world. Make an experiment, make an hypothesis, make an experiment to convalidate it, or see it failing, learn from the mistakes, improve your prototype, and go ahead. So this is a different method. The media are not used to this kind of method, because media never go inside the science to put their nose inside to see how science really works. So this is the point. But I think that now the people have learned something about this methodology, and is not any more depressed by the failures, because failures are part of the road, part of the learning. learning curve.
Yes, I'd like to add that it's a great lesson for all of us. You know, I had the opportunity to have lunch with Elon Musk. He's a man of few words. Maybe we speak a lot, but really action. So we have to be inspired, harvesting this energy of today's event and see how we could, in our daily life, in our action with Space Renaissance, Space for All, also try, not always succeed, but yes, learn from this human spirit of doing things together and for the benefit of humanity and on Earth and beyond. So clearly, it's a great boost of energy and inspiration for all of us here at Space Renaissance.
Thank you very much, Bernard. And let me say that we at Space Renaissance, we have made the same thing for 15 years now, 2008, 16 years, and we failed. We tried to learn something, we did it again, and now Space Renaissance is always a small organization, but it's growing. Is continuously growing, slowly but growing, and improving, and making more things, and supporting the 18 SDG proposal that we see some important events this year, like we did it in 2023 and more, because we will be present at two very important conferences, the ISDC in Los Angeles in May and the IAF Congress in Milan in October. And we will hold two events, one a virtual event in June and a hybrid event in New York in September. So yeah, we are working. We are failing, but we are working with learning from the mistakes and going ahead. So yeah.
And we'll see some of you in Paris as well in spring, at the end of March, for some of these IAF spring committee meetings where we can also prepare some of the activities for the full year. So looking forward, let's go Starship and Space Renaissance.
I just got to throw this in there. Chalk one up again for the private sector. Let's call a win when I think everybody is in the same mindset that it doesn't have to be just governments. We could move beyond just the days when strictly government space launches. A win is a win for the private sector. From intuitive machines to this, I would chalk another one up for the private sector, and that's my quick comment for now.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Of course, the private sector is going very ahead, very strong and speedy. Yeah, and it's thanks to, well, let me say from the a little bit of history, from the X Prize in the 90s that saw Scale Composite to win the X Prize in 2004 with the Spaceship One travel at suborbital altitude, and since that date the new space sector kept on growing, and in 2015 SpaceX inaugurated the season of the reusable rockets, that is seeing a new key step in these days with the Starship that will be the first fully reusable launch vehicle. That's very important because it will downsize the cost of the launch to orbit and will allow private sector to grow more. Because yeah, this is effect of science, technological development, and then technological development allow the growth, the increase of the market, and more dealers to join the market, not only from the Western developed, so-called developed countries, but also from small countries, from Asia, from Africa, from South of America, that are looking at space as new way to develop, to bring industrial and economical growth and development in there for their people. So it's really a space for all. The civilian space development will allow, yeah, of course, if nothing bad will come across, like horrible wars and things like that, that we hope that can be separated quickly. Then space for all, the civilian space development will bring great development and social growth and improvement to all the peoples of Earth. And this is our objective. Space Renaissance wants to multiply this effect, no? That the next time we look at Earth from orbit, we will have a more increased overview effect, because we will see many more people that are on their way to welfare, to have a better life and to have everything that people deserve to have, all the people on Earth. And that is a result of the private enterprises effort, no? Everywhere, of course, even in the countries that don't believe in the free enterprise, but they had to allow free enterprises to grow, to have birth if they wanted to have some kind of an enhancement and improvement. Okay, but okay.
Excellent. Yes, about Space for All, I know that there are many groups that are following our webcast. I have a number of students from Euro Space Hub and Euro Mars. They have watched from different parts of Europe and the world. So I don't know if do you have some message from some of this next generation of explorers and space? From what I've heard, they were very excited about what is happening, and this is really the space generation, you know, and they are the ones that are going to benefit most from some of this historical, heroic effort. So Space Renaissance is, of course, for all, but we need to engage more young professionals from a broad base, from all the disciplines. So don't forget, join Space Renaissance. It's very easy for students in particular. You get access to a lot of events, to also expertise. You can learn from colleagues from various disciplines. And we have even some Medici funds where we support projects for young professionals. So join Space Renaissance and benefit from what we do.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Oh, let's go back to the live stream to see what happens with Starship.
I have now to return to take my own Starship to return to the Business Innovation Center where my students are waiting for me. But yes, we keep in contact. And this evening we have also our Space Habitat Committee meeting, so which is going also to build on some of this historical progress. See you later.
Please bring my greetings to them.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adriano and Wes and all the Space Renaissance team.
See you later. Bye-bye.
It's approaching about the 8-minute mark here. I don't know if you're watching what I'm watching, but
I see the altitude is decreasing now. It is about 200 kilometers. It was very much higher. It was 250 and more. Maybe Starship has initiated to come down. There any more commenting? Let's see what the everyday astronaut is saying.
Where all your generous super chats go, like from Stupid Bear with 100 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. I really.
I don't know. The page is not responding.
Vuoi sapere quanto vale la tua auto? In modo facile e veloce.
Publicity. Okay.
This right now.
Okay, now it's live.
I just can't even get over this. Yeah, of all things to go wrong with the ship today, it was the payload bay door. Yeah, frankly, it's probably the thing they've spent the least time engineering, because they're probably just like, I don't know. Well, that's like easy beans compared to the rest of this vehicle. Look at the ice buildup up there at the aft end of the ship. To the left of the flap, you can see a big chunk of ice there. So that'll break off at some point, probably right now during this vent. Yep, you see chunks of it flying. I'm glad I pointed that out. You can see those ice buildups. I wonder how that affects when that is now your reaction control system. That ice buildup could slightly change. That might be something. They might have to put heaters on those. They might have to put little heaters because now their vents, they normally don't care. Those are pretty arbitrary, you know. Now those vents are in charge of precise maneuvers. They're having ice build up. That ice is going to have some kind of tunnel to still vent. But what if that tunnel gets like kind of crooked or off angle? Total speculation here. I'm sure the teams are already spewing through data. I mean, I'm just thinking, what if it blocks it even and has it totally coming out the wrong directions? This is this is crazy. So we are coming up on we're about 3 minutes away now from seeing that Raptor relight. We might see it, we might not, but hopefully we get confirmation. Pesdor checkouts, was that a tweet from SpaceX? Interesting. So the Pesdor checkout is complete. So that little bit of movement, maybe it's just a perspective of where we were. It just did not look like much, if I'm being honest. I actually will pull this up, the tweet. Let me mute this here. Spencer, if you want to show my, oh, you already are, I think. Or is that, yeah, this is the replay of the tweet saying checkout door pit.
So it seems that the test of the hatch opening and close was done successfully. Yeah, they call it the pet door test.
As far as live video is concerned, does this set some kind of precedent as far as speed and altitude and the consistency of the live stream for SpaceX in general?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, they are making a very good work with onboard cameras, giving a really sensation of what is happening during the flight.
didn't quite accomplish the landing burn and then had a hard splashdown in the Gulf. Meanwhile, ship completely successful after the hot staging. We had a good 6-engine burn of the Raptor vacuum engines and sea level engines. And then we've commanded a number of demonstrations, including the deploy demo, so the payload door, as well as a prop transfer demonstration. We do still need to do some data review on those. So as we get that data back, we'll be sure to update you on social for how those tests went. We are coming up on our next major milestones, which is an in-space relight of our Raptor engine for the first time, followed by re-entry and then landing in the Indian Ocean. Incredible.
Yeah, that's right, guys. We should be just about 40 seconds away, 40 or 50 seconds away, if we do this relight demo. Do want to stress this is not a deorbit burn. In fact, it's actually going to function a little bit opposite of a deorbit burn. We're going to be raising our perigee with this burn to the lowest point of our orbit. This is just to demonstrate that we can relight a Raptor engine on ship while it's gone through a coast, while it's in outer space, while it's in microgravity, all of the different complexities that come with lighting this engine again after it's already done an ascent burn, which are now coasting through space. This is going to be really important anytime we want to do in-space maneuvers in the future, like eventual deorbit burns, any of our translunar injections that'll have Raptor engines firing back up. We may not do it. There is all of the guidance is loaded into Starship's computer itself. So if it doesn't see the values that it needs to, we could just skip the burn. So we are waiting to find out if that's going to happen or not. If it doesn't, as we said in the beginning, we're on a pretty steep trajectory that we are coming home no matter what, regardless of doing a burn. This was done just so we can really, we're in a trajectory that's really not super susceptible to delta V changes in velocity. If we were to do a burn, we've got a pretty concise footprint in the Indian Ocean that we're going to be targeting for splashdown today. It does sound like we are skipping past the on-orbit relight demo this time. Again, we'll confirm all of this through our post-flight data review, but it did sound like we did pass through that burn. So now that's going to start setting us up for re-entry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So coming up next around T plus 49 minutes is Starship re-entry. Now, this is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communications with spacecraft because they're re-entering the Earth's atmosphere at or around orbital velocity, about 8 kilometers per second or roughly 5 miles per second. Super fast. Now, at those speeds, the spacecraft's interaction with the atmosphere results in friction and creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequency, so we're basically left with a brief communications blackout. Now, we might get some telemetry back through a connection to the tracking and data relay satellite system, also known as TDRS. But if the plasma doesn't entirely block it, that connection will be at a very slow data rate and definitely too slow for any video.
But that's why Starship and Starlink are a great partnership. Starship is so big that it will leave a wake or a hole in the plasma field as it flies through an atmosphere. You can think of a wake kind of like when you see a boat going through the ocean, it sort of leaves a trail behind it. There's some of those great views from Starlink giving us views of Starship's onboard videos. And so we're hoping that the Starlink on board will let us, just like we're seeing these videos now, see through that plasma field by maintaining a continuous communication lock with the satellites on orbit through the wake that Starship leaves behind. Now, this is only the second time that we're testing Starlink during re-entry. So even though we do have these great visuals now, don't be surprised if we manage to get some signal hiccups through. We're still learning about what that wake will actually look like in practice and whether we're able to get that live continuous high-speed data during re-entry.
This looks a little tumbly to me. How do you guys think?
Yeah, that's right. And one of the really primary reasons we want to use Starlink is to just gather as much data as possible. It's been said the data is the payload on one of these flights. where we're putting this flight hardware in a real flight environment, trying to learn about it as much as possible. Re-entry is going to be a really critical phase of flight. We really want to know how the ship's going to perform, especially that heat shield, as we're going through the hypersonic re-entry. So if something were to go wrong during this re-entry, we want as many paths as possible to collect that information, that data, just to, again, just continually feed back into the Starship program to make each flight more reliable, more successful.
I think they just passed over Madagascar there, or the southern tip of Africa. This is insane. You get a sense of speed.
Now, Starship
here.
manages to make it all the way through re-entry. We'll collect valuable data on Starship flying through the Earth's atmosphere at hypersonic speeds, meaning more than or at this point.
These things are actuating. I mean, the flaps. Holy cow.
Now we're watching these live views, HD views by the looks of it, thanks to Starlink. You can see that the flaps there on the ship might be actuating.
Oh my gosh.
Certainly some incredible visions of planet Earth behind Starship.
It's looking more and more controlled.
We've already validated Starship's ability to fly and land at subsonic speeds. You might recall those suborbital flights. I don't know if you
that looks better. That looks like your orientation.
Aspects like heating and control while traveling way faster than we did before is going to be critical to eventually bringing starships back from space for rapid reefs. So I mentioned those flaps. That's one of the things that enables Starship to help control itself and survive the heat of reentry, which, like we said before, we're expecting that reentry to occur around T plus 49 minutes. So we're getting pretty close here.
And what you're seeing here, it looks like the vehicle is sort of moving back and forth. Part of what you're also seeing is one of the cameras, this onboard view that we have, is on the end of a flap. Starship has front flaps and rear flap. Vehicle. So we got 4 of those, and oh man, we can see the heating on those flaps as we're starting to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. This is where the Earth's atmosphere is doing the
Oh my God! The entire vehicle. Right now, it is not. Starlinks are still communicating and still capturing the data and the video that we see here. I mean,
we talked about earlier, up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit, but those heat shield tiles are dissipating as we are re-entering.
This was one of the critical, or rather the key mission objectives that we were hoping to hit today. We have never, like I said before, this is the fastest and furthest ever flown. So this is the first time that we're getting to collect this re-entry data and understand how these 18,000 hexagonal heat shield tiles are working together to protect the belly of Starship as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Once again, the atmosphere is doing us a big favor here. The atmosphere is actually doing us a huge favor here by acting as a braking system for Starship as it re-enters the atmosphere.
And that's part of the reason why the flaps are so important. We're using the body of Starship and the drag from the atmosphere to slow us down from orbital speed, but you want the vehicle to remain stable. You want those heat shield tiles pointed down so they can absorb the heat of the Earth's atmosphere And so that's the purpose that they are serving during the hypersonic phase, and then again.
These views are being provided by a couple Starlink terminals that are positioned on Starship.
They're still getting data. Look at the speed.
Plasma builds. We're hoping that we can bring these views back to you, but you can see the telemetry there on the right-hand side of your screen. If you watch closely, you can see the speed decelerating. Again, that's the friction of the atmosphere resulting in this plasma field, or excuse me, the blanket that is potentially blocking the Starlink terminals right now. So we'll bring those views back to you if we get them. But right now, for those of you that have recently joined, Starship is currently re-entering Earth's atmosphere. This is super exciting because it's the furthest and fastest that Starship has ever flown.
It's just absolutely incredible. Major test milestone, something we wanted to accomplish on Flight 2, getting to it today. So just awesome.
Now, we actually have some heat shields here. So these are what's doing all the work on Starship right now. There are 18,000 hexagonal heat shields like these. So this one that I have is flat, like this is what would be positioned on the flaps of Starship, whereas Shiva has something a little different.
Yeah, the one I have would be on the curved surfaces of Starship. I'll just put it in frame here. So we've got these attached at various points around the vehicle. Like you said, Kate, 18,000 of these tiles are around, and they're doing the work to make sure that the structure of the vehicle doesn't carry all that thermal load, so we can recover the vehicles eventually and get to rapid reuse on them.
They're really lightweight. They sound a little different than I would have expected them to, but they are ceramic. And these are what's helping Starship survive through this period of entry. We're not sure how far we're going to make it. Again, this is the furthest that we've gotten in our test flight, but the further we fly, the more data that we can get, and that's ultimately the measure of success here, which I mean, I think today has been a huge success given where we've gone and how much further we've gotten with both the booster and Starship itself.
And one of the beautiful things about Starlink on board the vehicle, we were getting that high-speed video. High-speed video is a very high data rate, and usually video comes after you get your telemetry. So hopefully we were able to get some wonderful data throughout the entry period, which is normally something we have to wait for until after splashdown when we get that data off the data recorders.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned before the flaps, again, that the flaps are protected by the flat heat shields like I have. There are 4 of those positioned on Starship, 2 at the forward end or the top end, and 2 at the bottom or aft end. And they operate independently to aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude or positioning during atmospheric flight and enable precise landing at the intended location. So today we are intending to splash down in the Indian Ocean, and we're hoping that we can make it that far, but regardless, it is an exciting end to what has been an exciting day.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've had some tests in the past. We had suborbital campaigns where we have tested out the aerodynamic flaps at subsonic speeds. So that's below the speed of sound. At hypersonic speeds, well, supersonic speeds first, so faster than the speed of sound, and then hypersonic speeds. So that's more than 5 times the speed of sound. The equations of motion change, how the vehicle responds changes. So going through that control phase where we're going from faster than the speed of sound to below the speed of sound was one of the objectives today.
Yeah. And that's actually a great point because we are expecting that entry subsonic period to occur around T+1 hour and 3.5 minutes. So we're not there yet. We're about 10 minutes away from that point. So again, that is when Starship would be traveling slower than the speed of sound, thanks to the atmospheric braking system.
And so right now we're still waiting to see if we're going to get data back from this ship. We might be in a bit of a blackout period right now. So still waiting to hear the status on it. But yeah, we got to the actual entry portion of today. We started into peak heating, which was just a really big milestone. Starship is pretty unique in the way that it re-enters, especially for something reusable. The closest parallel has been the space shuttle. When we're comparing Starship to like when we bring a Falcon 9 booster back, we're talking about 20 times the energy given the velocity that we're moving at, and all of that energy just gets converted into heat. And then we need to use those tiles to just help dissipate that heat. They're not ablative like you would see on something like Dragon, which uses an ablative in the capsule shape. So they are these tiles that are made to be reusable. So any data we're getting on the actual temperatures it was seeing during heating, all of that is just really hugely valuable. Where Starship is really unique is, and Kate and Shiv have talked about it a couple of times, is once we're through this kind of hypersonic section and we get down to the subsonic, and that's where we really learned a lot and proved that Starship's really just its basic shape could work. And we did that during the suborbital campaign. Again, if you compare it to the shuttle, which entered, it had the wings, it had a similar heat shield system, but it had wings, and then was almost flown like a glider once it re-entered and was down to those subsonic speeds. With Starship, we're not doing that. We're just coming straight down. We'll hit terminal velocity, which with Starship is around 200 miles an hour. And then we use a flip maneuver to ignite those engines, do a landing burn, and then touch down on the ground. So you don't need a runway. We're doing that, again, designed because when we go to the moon, when we go to Mars, there's not going to be a runway there for us. And so that propulsive landing is going to be really important. This is an animation of pretty much what we were just watching on actual Starship video, which is pretty incredible. But we go through peak heating. One of the benefits of today's trajectory, actually, we got closer to what the heating profile will be on just a normal mission when you compare it to our previous flights, which were headed out to Hawaii. So we go through peak heating and then we hit subsonic, and then Starship splashing in the ocean. Again, we're not doing a landing burn on this flight, and we're not expecting Starship to survive the impact. We're not going to be recovering any of the hardware. For now, though, we are just still waiting to see if we're going to get some signal back. We're currently at a loss of signal with Starship. Don't know for sure what its status is, and so we're just continuing to listen in. But it was pretty incredible seeing the flaps really do their thing to maneuver the vehicle as it's moving through hypersonic. One of the big trade-offs between something like...
Hi, Jerry.
Hi. Hey, Jerry.
Hi there. So, seems that the test flight was excellent. They reached all of their goals so far, including the test of opening and closing the pet door, what they call the pet door, the hatch of the Starship. And I don't know about the fuel transfer. Probably they did it as well, but I was not able to catch this information on the live streams. And now the telemetry is interrupted because the re-entry in the atmosphere is going on, and the telemetry was interrupted at the 65 kilometers altitude. And but the velocity, the speed was still very high. It was still 25, almost 26,000 kilometers per hour. That's nearly orbital velocity. So we don't know what was the impact in the atmosphere. We hope that that Starship is alive and was not burning.
to open and close a payload.
Hello?
Bay door, the door.
Having a hard time hearing Jerry here.
I'm not saying anything.
Oh, sorry. I thought you...
Okay, no, you know, I had too many windows open with the live streaming going on, and the bandwidth, of course.
It's I seem to have the fastest feed here. It's ETA about it's ETA in about 5 minutes until supposed mission completion. So that's what I have on my end.
Yes, yes. When you are in the middle of plasma, it's very difficult to keep the communication on. I think this was expected in any way that the communication will be interrupted. Now, we are waiting to see if something is splashing down in the Indian Ocean, and hope to see that it is the entire spaceship. Jerry, you wanted to say something?
No, it's okay.
Oh, maybe you have some more information. You watched some news. You know. Okay, let's go back to see what they are saying, these people.
And as you compress air, it heats up. So it goes from gas and eventually turns into a plasma, which is where you see all that heat. So there are some frictional forces, there are some frictional slowdown, but most of that is all from compression of the atmosphere. So I do just want to make sure to correct and not to step on any toes here, because obviously Kate is an engineer, but it is one of those things that you accidentally hear people say like friction, but it's compression of the atmosphere. We will be answering a lot of questions here. I have a lot of speculation. But I want to keep listening and hear the program. So
it looked like we lost Starlink and our teacher's data flow at the exact same time. Now, if both of those signals are cutting out at the exact same time, that could mean we lost the ship. It has been several minutes since we've gotten any data from Starship. We are waiting just a couple more minutes just to see if we can get any additional confirmation, but that is one data point that we're tracking, and that could indicate that we had a loss or a breakup of the ship during that reentry. So might not make it all the way to splashdown today, but we were able to get through the early phases of reentry, hit some of that peak heating, which was just really incredible to see a Starship coming back from space after getting all those views from space for the very first time. So we'll just keep on listening in on the loops here, see if we hear anything over the next couple of minutes. And that might bring a close to a pretty successful day so far. So again, we did lose the TDRS. That's the tracking and data relay satellite. That's the satellite system that pretty much every spacecraft operating in orbit right now will use to get data. We were able to get some signal through that. And then we were also getting data back through Starlink.
Live view here of mission control down at Starbase. So these are all the folks who are experts on the various different systems, taking a look at the live data that we did have. Probably in mission mode still,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It would be so tough to stay focused with what an exciting day we have today.
Yeah, to quote Monty Python, I'm not dead yet. We don't know, as Dan said. We did lose connection with TDRS, which is the tracking and data relay satellite system, and Starlink at the same time. So it is a realistic possibility that we lost Starship, which honestly was always on the table. We didn't know how far it was going to get. The further we could fly and the more data we could collect was always the biggest win. And so regardless of, if we did lose the vehicle and we are not able to, make it all the way to our intended splashdown, note that we weren't intending to recover this vehicle, either vehicle, the Super Heavy booster or the Starship. We weren't intending to recover either of them. They were both going to basically hit at terminal velocity and break up upon contact with the surface of the ocean. So we're standing by to hear whether or not we are going to be able to get telemetry readings back, but we are possibly anticipating news that we lost Starship due to basically a double blackout from TDRS and Starship or excuse me, Starship data at the same time.
But this is, it's worth mentioning, this is the first time that we have come back at these speeds.
Absolutely.
In any of the test flights that we've done so far with Starship. So we are trying to prove out that the heat shield works as intended, that the controllability at those hypersonic speeds works as intended. So if we were able to...
I gotta start speculating, and I was saying it on air that it definitely appears that the gas thrusters were not working as intended. It definitely looks like it was tumbling well before beginning reentry. And the deal is, if you have a vehicle that's, coming in off angle, those flaps are only capable of, correcting a certain amount, right? And if it happened to reenter, like slowly enough and slightly off angle, then the flaps would have more control. However, if it's tumbling and has too much inertia, the flaps just can't correct for that, right? So it really looked like they didn't have control of it before it even began to re-enter. It should be coming in more or less stationary. Like it should be flat.
From what we have seen, I think the Starship was not re-entering in the correct angle, but she was on the side, let me say. So the protective materials only cover one side of the ship, and if it re-enter in this way, it would not be protected fully. Therefore, it is very much possible that the heat was too high and the Starship is lost. But yeah, I think this was the first time testing the re-entry. Therefore, it is quite reasonable to expect something like that. And now we will see if the media will say that the test was a failure because of the re-entry phase, while all the other goals were excellently achieved. No, yeah, but we know that the media are not very skilled, and they care only about the much rumor they can do the best for.
But let's be honest. I mean, it's the furthest, hardest, and fastest, and with the most video feed on record from the private space sector that we had so far. Yes. And so like let's call a victory where it is.
It is fantastic. It is a historic day, of course.
We know what we saw, so I don't really, let's focus on what actually happened. There's still, I don't consider that a fact. I already chalked one up for the private sector as soon as the second phase thrust happened. So, but you know my opinion on the private sector.
It will be just another mistake on the road of making a fully performing reusable space vehicle. This is normal in the SpaceX methodology. They learn by mistakes and go ahead, as we were saying before, talking with Frank White a few minutes ago. Yes, so yeah,
exactly.
Quite a big success. Yes.
While I have you, what time today is the 18th SDG meeting?
Our meeting today is at 17 UTC.
It's a two-step math problem.
5 p.m. UTC. I think it's the same in UK, right? 5 p.m. 17 UTC. Okay.
Okay, so about 2.5 hours from now. Let's see. Yeah. It's always a two-step math problem for me.
Yes, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right. So, okay. I think we can close this.
For now, yeah. Let's see. I'll see you here. we'll probably have some more data by then, but I'll see you here in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we will
for sure.
We will know in the next hours what happened and
Okay. Well, we'll know more then, and I'll see you then.
okay.
All right.
So
Bye.
thank you very much, everybody, for watching and staying with us.
Yeah. All
Good
right.
night.
Later, I hope.